All right, good day, everyone. This is for me, lead consultant, Maxim-Concepts consulting practice, still on governance issue. And so today we'll continue our discussion on directors lacking understanding of a company where they preside over. That is a tailor-made training for directors. I remember the last time out I made mention of, the various training that is necessary for directors. And so just a quick recap, trainings like that relates to their legal and fiduciary duty, trainings that relates to financial literacy, trainings that relates to compliance and risk management, training that relates to governance, board dynamics, trainings that relates to emerging things that are cropping up in the society. And so taking it one after the other today, we'll be looking at training that relates to their legal and fiduciary duty. Okay, so the Company and Allied Matter Act 2020 says that that director they stand in a fiduciary relationship with the organization, and this means that that they hold the organization the trust to have in utmost good faith of the organization. That is, whatever they do should be in line with the constitution of the organization. They should act in best interest of the organization. They should not allow a situation whereby there will be conflict of interest as far as their interest and that of the company is concerned. And if there should be a situation whereby their interest conflict with that of the organization, it means the company's interest supersedes their interest. And so as it relates to being accountable to the organization, accountability in terms of taking ownership of their decision and being able to defend the reason why they made that decision. And another one is being transparent, that is, in whatever they do, open communication and disclosure. And disclosure aspect of it is very important, in that disclosure aspect of it have to do with in a situation whereby their continuity, that is, their continuity to be in that position, if it's going to affect the company where they preside over in an adverse way, then the disclosure is very necessary. It's very important. The same way it's important for any normal, staff in an organization. I give an example: a staff that is in audit, probably working in in the financial sector. The person is in internal audit. The person had, before moving to internal audit, probably the person had worked in another department whereby he's been asked to later go and audit. In that instance, the person needs to, the disclosure form is something that, is always available. In fact, every year in an organization, you sign it, that you don't have, you disclose your interest. The organization, some things that you have, you make that disclosure. And so if the person is to audit that place, the form is always available. You are auditing another SBU as a staff of internal audit. You're going to make that you're going to fill that disclosure form. So if for one reason or the other that person held an important post while the person was working in that unit, or the person as someone that is very dear to the person, that is very close to the person, obviously the person is not supposed to be part of that thing, because it's the decision the person will make, with the decision the person will make, how the person will hold it that place, the person will not be independent. The independence will be impaired as a result of the fact that because of probably he has a relationship with someone there, or because he has worked there before and he won't want to put those people in trouble, or probably he's even auditing part of the work he has done. Obviously he can't audit himself, and even when he is aware of the fact that he had done some things, obviously he's going to cover up. And that is why the disclosure aspect of it is very important. The same thing for a director. The disclosure is very important. The director will need to make a disclosure as relates to things that will affect him from continuing from performing his duty, from still being in that position as the director of that organization. And another one is that, understanding the fact that should there be they've made a kind of a secret profit that even relates to, conflict of interest, is still part of disclosure. All those things have to be disclosed and brought into, and made known to others. So as far as their legal and fiduciary duty is concerned, they hold a responsibility to the organization, and they are to act in utmost good interest of the organization. And appropriate disclosure, accountability, understanding the purpose of the organization and running with the purpose and the goal of that organization. Very important. So as they carry out their responsibility, they will be able to do it, as it is expected, and ought to be done. That is all I have for us today as far as the legal and the fiduciary duty training requirement of a director is concerned. Thank you, everyone.